Hi, my name's Christina Jamison from the School of Home Ownership. Welcome to our series. Today I'll be talking to you about when do we teach our kids about finance. And I have a very special guest with me today, Nicholas Jamison.
Hello.
Who is 18 years old and studying Year 12 this year. So I thought I'd start off with a story. I met a lady at a park and I was talking to her. When she found out I would do School of Home Ownership, she started talking to me about her son. She was willing to take out money out of her superannuation so that her son is able to buy a house in the future. Now, she was struggling a bit. When I started asking some question, it was quite interesting. For example, I asked, okay, well, how much money has your son saved? 0. Okay, well, where does your son live? In the city. Okay, well, where does your son spend his money? Well, he goes out every day and they usually go on a trip every year and they get loans to do that. So my recommendation to her is instead of giving money to them straight away to be able to buy a home, it would actually be better if they actually taught them about finance first to ensure that that money is spent wisely. And if they're not sacrificing to get a home, well, you sort of have to wonder, is it going to be worth her sacrifice for them to get a home? It was interesting to note that children develop their financial habits by the age of 7. So they're starting to develop their financial habits. This is actually in a time where parents are overspending and over leveraging. So we've got to really get on top of the fact if you want our children to be able to get a home. Now over to you, Nicholas.
Hi, yes.
So the question I'd sort of ask you is, what's the impression of people your age in terms of being able to afford a home?
Honestly, we're kind of scared because in Sydney the housing prices are crazy, and I don't know how we're gonna afford it. Like, it's only getting worse, and I think I'm speaking for a lot of people here my age, right? And it's just I'm just nervous. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, how am I gonna afford a house? It's really concerning.
And that's quite a common question that I find people with. So one of the things that I do in the course is we work out strategies on how to do it. So sometimes it's lowering the expectations. My biggest issue that I find is that a lot of people won't have much savings at all in the bank. And if you can't get that, it's going to be very difficult to be able to move forward. Did you know that 25% of Australians have less than $1,000 in the bank account and 8% have absolutely zero money in the bank account? So they live paycheck to paycheck. So again, Nicholas, let's see what your thoughts are on finances. So how do you save? So what's your, how do you save anything? How much do you have in your bank account?
Well, to go back a bit in time, right? At first, I didn't have like a part-time job, but of course, you as my parents decided to, push me towards it, and I think it's actually been quite beneficial because I've learnt the value of money. So, for example, my friend's been pushing me to go to the gym, right? And even though we have I can do stuff at home, right? But the thing is, it's $150 sign-up fee plus $100 for the first month. So $250 for the first month it was just not viable. And I mean, if I didn't have a part-time job, right, and learnt the value of money, I don't think I would have been able to discern that. And so I think just understanding the value of money, and it really helps with just getting around life.
Could you, what's the rest of people at school? Do they work or are they gifted money? Do you ask for money? How does that work, sort of your relationship with?
It's been I feel as though people are, recently, as people are starting to drive now, people are being gifted cars, and that's a really large investment, and I just don't know how people are just able to just do that, right? And I know that you as my parents aren't going to allow me to just give me a car, right? So I think this part-time job, it's sort of an incentive to work towards it, and I think I'll be able to appreciate it more, right? Because I earned the car, I learnt, and I earned the money to get this car. So yeah, but in general, people my age, I feel as though they're being gifted quite a few things, and I'm not too sure how that'll go in the future.
For example, there was a time when I took you out to the movies, and as a normal child will do, they want everything. When they go to movies, they want all the snacks that are there, that are possibly there. And I remember that I actually made a rule that basically I'm happy to pay for the movie tickets, but you are to provide and pay for your snacks. And I found that quite interesting, because suddenly you'd go and you're saying, I'm not paying $5 for water, so you'd bring your own water bottle. I'm not paying $5 for a small packet of chips. You would go down to Coles and get this massive packet of chips. So that sort of, how has that sort of taught you in comparison to the rest of your friends? Do they have that?
So since I've been like trying to earn the money, I've learnt the value of the money that I've earned, right? And so that makes me more cautious and conscious of the decisions I make with in regards to that money. I take time to think about, is this worth the money and the time that it took for me to earn it? And but I feel as though people my age aren't as cautious as they could have been, right? And I think it could come back to bite them in the future about it.
So in terms of the future, so deposit, and we're talking about you need a deposit for a home loan. So can you explain, are you saving money? So are you spending all your money? How are you actually working your money?
Yeah. So with the money that I'm earning, I at every chance I get, I put it away. I put it in my savings account, and I have a bit to the side that I'm allowing me to use personally for enjoyment. And my end goal, right, is to honestly get a deposit for a house. I want to ultimately be able to become like financially independent and not have to worry about depending on loans and such. But yeah, that's my end goal, and that's what I'm trying to do now, putting money aside slowly. It's accumulating, which is good, but that's my end goal.
So you've got the value, and you've been taught that you're expected to get a home and you're expected to get a deposit. So that's a good start. And it's interesting for you to say that people haven't actually started that financial astuteness from such a young age. And I guess because we're in a situation where there isn't as much affordability, that you have to be a lot more conscious of finances a lot earlier and a lot more responsible for finances a lot earlier. And that's very interesting. If you're finding this content helpful, please like and subscribe. It's free for you, but it helps us out a lot. And with that, back to the video. Another interesting point is, for some reason, millennials have got less of a chance than the Gen Z. And I think you're Gen Z, right?
Yeah, I'm Gen Z.
Gen Z are actually becoming and learning to become a lot more proactive with their finances and have higher hopes of getting a home loan than the millennials, which I suppose are now about 30. So that's interesting, and I think we've got to teach children at an early age to be financially astute. And I'm not talking about, I've heard people saying, oh yeah, we've got to teach them about insurance and all this sort of stuff and liabilities. We don't really. It's the basics is that they've got to live within their means. And they invest. And at this early stage, well, that you can't really invest too much in shares, and you can't buy a house in terms of getting wealth creation. It may be just going into a high interest earning savings account, which you have. But I find it quite interesting. How do you actually do your little saving? You've got a little saving method and a reward system for yourself.
It's kind of stupid, but like, I have two accounts, right? Like I have a savings account and one that I'm like allowing myself to use. I accumulate like all the savings and all the money I get from work into my usable one until I hit $1,000, and then I immediately shift it over. So it's sort of like a reward thing for me. Like I'm just working towards that $1,000 and I can shift it over. It's satisfying, you know? But like that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me motivated. And the money that I have left over, I can spend as freely as I want, and I just keep repeating it. And it keeps me going. It keeps me going. It's really good.
And I think it's highly commendable that I know people that do work that spend all the money. So somehow we've got the, I guess, financial astuteness that he's inherited or enforced upon him, that you save, that you have a portion that you can reward and spend, but you save. And I guess that also comes back to like my parents had, came as migrants, so it was tougher on them, so they had to basically be really strict with their finances, because for them a house was financial security, and they couldn't have children until they had a financial security. So they really worked shifts, multiple jobs, rented one room in a boarding house to make sure they had money to be able to get a house, because they were not going to raise children in a one-bedroom house or a one-bedroom unit. So that was important for them. And that's just been, I guess, passed down through the generations. So thank you for spending time with
No
us
worries.
to get an idea about, somebody that can be financially astute at a young age. He is a very responsible person, and it's very clear his expectation that, that he will be able to afford a home, and he'll
Hopefully.
work out how to do it. So thank you for that, for spending some time with us. And if you want more information about tips and hints in terms of finances, there's even a course coming out specifically for people to learn about finances. Go to schoolofhomeownership.com.au.